All right, so today's class, we are looking at solving type 4 equations. And before we start solving type 4 equations, we're just going to do a little bit of review of what happens when we have brackets. So all these type 4 equations, they're going to contain brackets. And in mathematics, when we see brackets and we see a number in front of the brackets, that means that number is multiplying everything inside of the brackets. All right, so that's what we're going to work on today. It's called distributive property. Once we do that, then it'll look like a type 2 or a type 3 equation again, and then we will just solve using those steps for type 2, type 3 equations. So just for review, let's say we had 2 on the outside of bracket, and inside the bracket we have 3 plus 4. So there's two ways we can solve this. We can work on what's inside the bracket first. 3 plus 4 is 7, so this becomes 2 times 7, which equals 14. Now the other method is called distributive property. And what we do with this is that 2 on the outside of the bracket means you're multiplying it to everything inside of the bracket. So that becomes 2 times 3 plus 2 times 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. And then 6 plus 8 is equal to 14. Both ways, we end up with the same answer. So we're going to look at distributive property, and then we'll start solving equations. And our typical equations will look like something like this. All right, so we'll watch the Math Antics video on distributive property, and then we'll come back and work on those examples. Just resume here. So here we're just looking at distributive property. So positives and negatives make a difference. All right, so if you have a positive number on the outside of the bracket and you're multiplying to everything inside the bracket, note it's a positive C, and this B is also positive. So we end up with AB plus AC. When we have a minus sign inside here, that minus belongs to the C. So A times B gives me AB, and then A times negative C will give me the negative or minus AC. All right, so let's take a look then at our first example here. We have 3 on the outside of a bracket, and inside the bracket we have x plus 7, and is equal to 39. So the first step in these types of equations is we have to take this 3, we have to multiply it to everything inside the bracket. All right, so here 3 times x, that gives me 3x, and then 3 times 7 is 21, and that gives me my answer is equal to 39. So now this looks like a type 2 equation. So the first thing we're going to do here now is we're going to subtract 21 from both sides. And now we have left 3x is equal to 39 minus 21, which is 18. And then we divide both sides by 3, which leaves me with x is equal to 6. All right, and you can do a quick check as well. We can take the 6, put it back into our equation. So if we were to do a check, 3, and then we have 6 plus 7, and it has to equal to 39. So we have 6 plus 7, which is 13. So 3 times 13, does that equal to 39? And it does. So the left side is equal to the right side. So therefore x equals 6. We have just confirmed that it is correct. So this example, we have 2 sets of brackets, but the procedure is very similar. We have a number in front of the first bracket, so this will multiply everything inside. And note here, the minus sign, that does mean it's a negative 5. All right, so let's multiply that out first on our left-hand side. So 4 times 2x, that gives me 8x. And then 4 times -5, which is -20 or -20. All right, and then on our right-hand side, we have to do the same thing because we have a 2 in front of the bracket. So we're multiplying everything inside the bracket. And 2 times 3x, that gives me 6x. And then 2 times 6, which is positive 12. So now we have our equation here. And now this looks like a type 3 equation because we have an x on the left and x on the right. So we need to bring this 6x over to the left side. So we're going to subtract that on both sides. And then we end up with 2x minus 20 is equal to 12. Then we got to add the 20 to both sides. And that gives me 2x is equal to 32. And lastly, we're going to divide by 2. And we end up with x is equal to 16. So let's try the first one here together. So we have 4 on the outside of the bracket. So that's going to multiply to the x and to that minus or -3. So 4 times x, that becomes 4x. 4 times -3 is -12 or -12, and that is equal to 20. Okay, we're going to add 12 to both sides. That gives me 4x is equal to 32. And then we're going to divide by 4, and x is equal to 8. All right, so I'll give you guys a moment to try the next one. All right, so our next example, we have a 4 again on the outside of the bracket, so we have to multiply that to everything inside the bracket. So 4 times 2x, that gives me 8x, and then 4 times -3 is -12, and that equals to 28. All right, so now it looks like a type 2 equation. So we just got to add the 12 to both sides. That leaves me with 8x is equal to 28 plus 12, which is equal to 40. And now I just have to divide by 8 on both sides. So x is equal to 40 divided by 8, which is equal to 5. All right, let's try that next one. So on the left side, we don't have any brackets. So the left side, we'll just rewrite that as 4x minus 2. On the right side, we do have to do distributive property. So this 3 multiplies to the x. The 3 will also multiply to the positive 1. So that would give me 3x plus 3. All right, so now it looks like a type 3 equation. We need to take this 3x, bring it over to the left side. So subtract 3x on both sides. 4x minus 3x, that's 1x, or just x. So x minus 2 equals 3. And then we'll add 2 to get rid of that. And we'll be left with x is equal to 5.